Hello and welcome. I'm back from my vacation. First of all, thank you very much for your support during my absence. I appreciate it. Thank you. So let's get back to business as usual. We are kind of warming up with considering multi-timeframe strategies. So multi-timeframe strategy is simply considering more than one interval, e.g. when you calculate technical indicators. So our strategy, very simplified, is we are buying when the close is above the moving average for both the hourly and daily time interval, and vice versa for the sell. This video is an introduction, so if you're interested in going more into details, let me know below. Alright, let's get started. We need some libraries, pandas for data handling, matplotlib to visualize our trading strategy. From the Python Binance library, we need the client to pull cryptocurrency prices, and I'm also instantiating the client here. Next, I'm going to copy paste a function from my other screen. I've covered that in some of my previous videos, but let's go over this function once again. So this function getData is pulling cryptocurrency price data for a given symbol, let's say Bitcoin USDT, on a particular interval. So 1 minute, 15 minutes, 1 hour, 1 day, and so on, starting at a particular date, right? So here I'm using the client to get historical K-line data or open, high, low, close data for that provided symbol on a given interval from a particular start date on. This is just slicing because we have more columns than date, open, high, low, close when pulling historical K-line data, but this is data we don't need. So I'm just slicing the first 5 columns here. Then I'm renaming those columns to date, open, high, low, close. And this is simply transforming the currently Unix timestamp formatted column to a human readable timestamp. And then I'm just taking the date and set that to the index of that data frame and transform the currently string formatted rest of this data frame to a floating value so we can do calculations. So the easiest way to show what this function is doing is by simply calling it. So let's take ETH and consider the 1 day time interval and start in the beginning of 2022, so this year. So as you see, we're just getting daily open, high, low, close data for ETH, right? So let's store that in that variable daily, and this is our daily data. Same logic for hourly data, so just storing that in hourly, call getData, and then just change the interval here to 1 hour. All right. So as you see, this is taking a bit longer than daily data because it's simply more data, right? 1 hour granular data from the beginning of this year on. So as you see, we're getting 6K rows here, right? And you see hourly data for ETH, open, high, low, close. All right, so we have our daily granular and hourly granular data. Perfect. Next, I'm going to create a function which is calculating the simple moving average. So let's just call that calculate moving average for a given data frame, and then just add a column SMA. I'm taking the SMA over 50 time steps here. As I said in the beginning, just an example, right? Roll over 50 with a 50 window and then take the mean. So this is simply the formula for a moving average over a particular window. So 50, this is a simple moving average over 50 time steps here. So if I'm calling this function on daily and hourly, you see that I'm getting a new column here, right, containing the simple moving average over 50 time steps here. And same for the hourly data. All right. And next, I'm just going to define my buying and selling conditions, right? So first for the daily data, so I'm simply adding a new column by and check if the close is above the simple moving average. Very simplified trading strategy, nothing fancy. Same for the hourly data frame. And also just vice versa for the selling conditions, right? So just copy pasting that here, change that to sell, and change the direction here. All right. So with that, we're getting a new or two new columns here containing a true value if our buying condition is fulfilled in this column here, and a true value if our selling condition is fulfilled in this column here. So just to take an example here, the close you see is above the simple moving average, so we are getting a true value here. Here the SMA is larger than the close, so we're getting false value here. All right. And next we are going to shift the buy column and the sell column by one row. Why am I doing this? Because shifting the signals, so let's say we're taking this signal here. If I'm shifting that by one row, I can directly access the open price here and take this as my buying price. Right, so here the signal is occurring, so the crypto is closing at this price. Then my simple moving average is calculated, and I can decide, okay, I have a true value here, so I want to buy, and I buy on the next day's open. And if I just shift those signals by one row, I can directly take this price here as my buying price. All right, so we are going to shift all buying and selling columns. Okay, so hourly buy equals hourly buy shift, and we also have to fill. So why do I have to fill? If I'm just taking the shift here, I can show you. You see that I'm getting an NaN value here in the very first row, and I just want to have false value in the first row here, right? So I'm going to fill NA false here. And I'm basically doing that for daily buy as well. And also for the cells. So sell only sell, and also for the daily data. Okay, so shifted, and now we can start with implementing a nested loop logic to implement this multi-time frame trading strategy. So first of all, we are setting the initial position to false, and then we are creating two lists, buy dates and sell dates. Okay, now what are we going to do? So I'm going to show you in the daily data frame. So what is the logic? We're checking for a true value here in this data frame, in the daily data frame. And if we are getting a true value here, we are screening the hourly data frame hour by hour on this stage if we are also getting a true buying value here, right? So when I'm getting a true value here, let's say this is true, I'm screening the 3rd of January in this hourly data frame here, right? So I will code it now, but we will go over some examples after I've written the looping logic. So first we are taking for index daily and row daily in daily iteros. So we are simply looping over the daily data frame. And then we're checking if we are not in a position and our daily row by column has a true value. Then we are starting a new loop in our hourly data frame, starting at the current daily index, right? So what do I mean by that? Let's take an example. So if I'm taking this signal here on the 10th, I have to screen my hourly data frame from the 10th on here, right? So let's do that. So we are screening for index hourly, row hourly, in hourly from the daily index on iteros. Now, what you also have to consider here is that you want to screen only for that day, right? So you are getting a buying signal for a particular day and you want to check the next day, right? Hour by hour for a buying signal. So what you have to do is to take 24 hours here. And I'm taking 1 to 25 here. And I'm going to explain you why I'm doing that. So let's take hourly. And let's take a look at the tail. Hopefully I'm finding a good example here. So let's say we have a signal and we want to screen the 11th September here. Then you have to consider that you cannot take this row here. Why? Because when you're taking this row here, you're taking a signal from the previous day. You see it here? Taking a signal from the 10th. So the very first signal. So why do you get this? Because we shifted this column, right? So this is this here. This signal is from this day. So the first row you're starting to screen is this row here, right? Because this is the very first signal on that day. So you're starting at 1 here, not at 0, and you're going until 25 to just cover 24 hours. Okay, I hope I could make this clear. So to put it simply, you're simply checking the next 24 hours after you're getting a daily buying signal. Okay, and now you are again checking if we are not in a position and our hourly buying signal is occurring, then we are setting our position to true and append to our buy dates. And we are just taking the hourly index. Okay, so let's recap. What is this function, not function, but this loop doing? It is first checking the daily data frame, screens for buying signal here, and once it is getting a buying signal, as in this case, it is screening the hourly data frame from this date on, and then is checking the next 24 hours and checks if there is a hourly signal, so buying signal. All right, so this is what this loop is doing. And we need to do the same for the selling logic. So if position and row daily sell, then we want to start the loop. So same logic here, just copy pasting. And then we are checking this again, if position and row hourly sell. Then we want to set the position to false and append to our sell dates. All right. So let's execute that and see what we got. So buy dates, we're getting some timestamps here, and sell dates, we're also getting some. So they don't have the same length, which can happen because we could have an open trade, right? So which just isn't closed yet. So that's no problem, but we are taking care of that in some seconds. Before I'm going through some examples, I'm visualizing the trading strategy. So let's create a plot here, PLT figure with a figure size of, let's say, 10.5. Then we're plotting the hourly close, and then we're implementing the signals using a scatter plot, then hourly log for the buying dates index as our x-axis, and log for the buy dates, and then simply take the close as our y-axis. Set the marker to a flag, a green flag, so color should be green. Same for the selling signals, just changing this to sell dates, this to sell dates, flag, and color red. So with that, you see that we're getting the signals here, right? So maybe make them a bit larger. Yeah. Okay, so as you see, this one turns out to be not a good trade. This one is a profitable trade. This one is a profitable trade. And as you see, this is an open trade. So we have an uneven number of buying and selling signals. Not uneven, unequal. Right? So, but let's understand what was going on here with some examples. So we have a buying date on the 1st March here, right? So let's screen our daily data for this date. So I'm just going through an example so that you're getting a better understanding of how this structure is working here. Okay. So you see that we got a true value here in the buying column on this date, right? 1st of March. You also know that we shifted this value, right? So the true value was occurring end of February, right? 28th of February or 29th of February. But anyhow, we are taking this date and screen our hourly data frame for this date hour by hour, right? So hourly, and now we're checking hour by hour, starting here, and in this case we already have a true value here, and we cannot take this row here because this true value is also shifted, right? It's from the previous date, and we cannot take this value. We have to start at this row here. So this is also true. So we are starting to check from this row on and go for the next 24 hours, right? So starting at this one, using 1 until 25. So we have covered everything until the next day. And we can only take the next day because this true signal is from the very last data point on this day, right? So we are basically just checking the first March here. All right. Okay. So this is how the loop is working. So let's move on to some profit calculation. So we are creating a buy array here using hourly log for the buy dates, and then take the open, then creating a selling array, same logic for the sell dates. And we also want to set the buy array to the same length as the sell array here. So yeah, I'm just cutting off this open trade because you cannot calculate a profit for an open trade here. So I'm simply slicing the buy array until just the length of the sell array. So with that, I'm just getting the matched trades here. Okay. With that, we can calculate the profit by just taking the sell array values, subtract the buy array values, and set that into relation to the buy array values. So with that, we have a profit array, and we can do some analysis with that. Mean profit is a surprising 3%. The cumulative profit is %, which is not bad, but this is just an example. So this strategy is, how can I say it? Not sophisticated, right? But the crypto market is, as you might have known or might have heard, a very, very downtrending market this whole year, right? So we could take a look at how the asset was developing by simply taking a look at the percentage change, add a 1, and take the product. So ETH was dropping more than 50% since the beginning of this year, right? So to make it more intuitive, just take this close, set that into relation to the current price, subtract a 1. So this is the same mathematically as this one here, right? So yeah, not bad, but I think it can't be a good strategy, right? So it's just a coincidence here. So if I'm just taking another asset, you will see, let's just check that for Bitcoin, for instance. Just execute all again. Let's take a look at the plot together. Yeah, there are some more bad trades here, right? So this is most probably not profitable. But let's see. No. So mean profit minus 6% on average, minus 27%, and so on, right? But Bitcoin was crashing way more than that since the beginning of the year. But anyhow, as said, this was just a simple example, so we could make way more out of that, right? Combine some technical indicators on different time frames. Play a bit around with that. So if you're interested in that, let me know below. And yeah, that's already it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. And I'm looking forward to seeing the upcoming videos. Bye bye.